Hi everyone, this is Jonathan Leitonen, and I'm the Instruction and Reference Specialist here at the Montgomery Library. I hope you are all having a good semester so far. All right, so the focus of this instructional session is how to use various library resources to create properly formatted APA citations. The first half of this session will be beneficial for all students who need to use APA format, and the second half will be especially helpful for students in technological fields. You will also learn about a new tool in Google Scholar for making CU search items automatically show up in Google Scholar results. All right, so let's imagine you have an assignment and your goal is to find 5 scholarly articles and 1 book and to cite them in APA format. So let's start with a really helpful resource we have as an introduction to citation skills. So on the library homepage, scroll down and click the red button for library guides. And then you scroll down to the C section and click Citation Styles. But just a reminder, the purpose of citation is to show what ideas came from your sources. This helps your reader know what ideas and language are your own work and what ideas and language are borrowed from your sources. If you are not clear about this, you are probably plagiarizing something, even by accident. And plagiarism is taking credit for something you did not do yourself. And you never want to take credit for someone else's work. That's just super unprofessional, even in the work environment. So always mention the author's name directly in the paragraph you are writing. That way you give them credit. And really, it only takes one plagiarism case or one case of using AI to write a paragraph in your paper, and it will be really difficult for your professor to ever trust you again for your whole time here at CU. And I even taught a couple English courses here at CU last year, and I still remember those students who used AI or who plagiarized material and they didn't put citations for where they got their information. And if those students ever asked me to write a letter of recommendation for them, I would probably just tell them, sorry, but you didn't give a good impression on me. Students really need to think about that you need your professors to trust you, especially if down the road you might need a letter of recommendation. Because if you're plagiarizing and not following citation requirements, they're just not going to view you very positively. So please take your professor's citation rules really seriously. And as I said, let's imagine you have an assignment and you're supposed to find 5 scholarly articles in 1 book and to cite them in APA format. So to find information about APA format for sources, scroll down to the section on APA style resources here. So we have links that I've provided here. Let's look at the first one, sample citations of common sources for list of references, APA style 7th edition. So scroll down here. So there's different kinds of works. So if your professor says you need to get a journal article, so let's take a look here. So here's how you cite a journal article. And by the way, yeah, if you're citing it in the paragraph, that's called a parenthetical citation. And if you're using it in the sentence of a paragraph, you write Grady et al. 2019 argue that emotions are important in storybooks. So anyway, here's a tip that I recommend for everyone. So especially if you're kind of new to APA citation, you can copy this into your works cited and use it as a model. So here I made a sample paper. It's really just a title page and then a list of references. So I'm going to paste this here. And then I'll format it a little bit so you can see what it should look like. So it shouldn't be all bold like this. Let me take the bold off. And then here's a tip to make it hanging indentation. The second, third, and fourth line should be indented. So here's how you do that. You click this paragraph settings button, and then you do hanging. And it'll hang by 1/2 an inch. So this is just a sample citation, and then we'll compare our later citations to this. So sample. So that's an article in a periodical, so some kind of scholarly journal. Let's go back here, and we're going to get a book, right? So books and reference, and actually book, and we'll do chapter and an edited book. These are 3 common types you'll see as a student. Okay, so we can do that. So that's a book. And I'll merge the formatting here, and then I'll put it in to hanging indentation. And then the next one, we'll also do a chapter in an edited book because those are pretty common, especially in sciences and technology. Chapter and edit. So I'll copy this example here and then click here to merge format. And then remember paragraph, click paragraph, then under indentation, special should be hanging. chapter and edited book. You see, now these are my examples. So if you're new to Citation, then you can use those to compare the format here to citations you make later on and make sure they're correct. All right, so that's one way you can use this citation guide here. You find sample citations and you check the format piece by piece, authors, title, things like that, page numbers. And then let's look at this. So here's how to format a paper. I provided this link here. So this shows you how to format a paper. So it tells you about how to set up the font, the header, so title page setup. So I just followed this guide here, and that's what I made right here. And had the page number here. I just followed exactly what I saw here. And then on references, list setup. So I'm following what these instructions are on a references list. So that's what I'm doing on this page. Normally you would have the second and third page would be actually the body of your paper or the abstract, but I'm just skipping that. I'm just going to go straight to references. Okay, so now we should go look at these other things. Okay, so APA style and grammar guidelines. So by the way, when you're writing an APA paper, there's all kinds of very specific requirements about what kind of scientific language to use or how to use font, how to even set up tables, how to avoid bias. If this is brand new to you, academic writing, I recommend looking through here on the APA style blog and see what they have to say. There's a lot of tips about that, or even grammar. If you're in another field like an arts field, you could also look at this APA format for artwork references. Okay, so here's another guide I want to show you about. So in addition to citation styles, we also have another really helpful guide. So if you go back to the Montgomery Library homepage, then you click Library Guides, and then this is called Research Basics. So you go down to R, I'll zoom into Research Basics. So this has all kinds of pages in here about how to get started with an assignment, how to evaluate sources, citations. Actually, that's kind of what we were talking about already. And then I just added this today, writing resources, how to write scholarly papers. So there's a number of websites that are from other universities, such as UNC Writing Center, Illinois Writer Workshop, Purdue OWL. And so if you're doing an annotated bibliography, I would recommend taking a look at these sources here. Even just what is academic writing, what are the basics of it, what our writing process is. So if you're kind of new to academic writing or it's a struggle for you, these are basically like free writing textbooks online by some of the top writing programs in the United States, and they've really broken it down into easily understandable pieces. Like for example, just take a look here, tips and tools. We have videos, a video about like how to edit and make how to edit your work reading aloud, or how to reverse outline and think about the structure of your paper, how to cite. They make many videos and tips about how to make annotated bibliographies, how to make an abstract. So whatever you need, these are some great sources you can find under our Research Basics Library Guide. So remember how to get there, library guides, and then Research Basics. So the third library guide I want to show you today is about Google Scholar. So this also is a new guide that I made just about a week ago. It's about Google Scholar and how we can use Google Scholar to find CU library sources and sources outside of CU, and then how to find literature reviews. So why would we even do this? Why would we even use Google Scholar? Well, I know a lot of people are familiar with it before they even started their studies at CU, so it's something a lot of people are familiar with. And you can actually easily find CU Montgomery articles right alongside free scholarly content from across the internet. And there's a special tool for finding literature reviews, and there are other special tools that Google Scholar has as well. Let's take a look at the steps. How to enable CU search links in Google Scholar. I made the step-by-step instructions here, and I put several tips down here at the bottom for how to get the most out of Google search and how to use it kind of in connection with CU search. So anyway, we'll go to Google Scholar. You go to this menu bar at the top, on the top left. Then you click Settings. And then you click Library Links. Let me zoom in so you can see this better. Library Links. And then you can see I already put that there, but I'm going to just show you how, if it doesn't show up, type in Campbellsville. And I'm going to click both. It looked like one of these got turned off by accident somehow. And so if you're logged in, I guess I'm not currently logged into my Google account here. So if you don't have a Google account, every time you do this, you have to enable this. So now it's enabled, it's like saved in your browser, even though you're not logged in. And then maybe when you close your browser, it might take it away and then you have to click it again. But if you have your Google account logged in, it should actually save this. So it should save these Campbellsville settings to your account. It doesn't mean you're logged into CU search. It just means those CU search links will show up in Google Scholar. So let's try a sample topic. I'm interested in the detection of disinformation. So here's one that it's available on Springer, but it's also available here, full text at CU search. So for example, what if there was an article where there was no free version? Then this would be nice to use. You click the full text at CU. Actually, let me open in a new tab. And here, so see, it connected us to a library database, and that's why that's valuable. All right, so say we found an article here that wasn't available free. And let's just pretend that nobody uploaded it online. This one is free, but imagine it wasn't. So here's what to do if you have that problem where an article is not freely available on Google Scholar. You go back to our homepage, Montgomery Library, and then you put the title in quotes. But one thing about this is CU search does not like colons. So I'm going to delete the colon and I'll just delete the rest of this. So we'll see fake news early detection, and I'll just remember the title in mind. So fake news early detection, and I'm going to put the setting to libraries worldwide so that it's all over the world. So fake news early detection, a theory-driven model. See, look here, it showed up with no colon, but this looks like exactly what I found here. Fake news early detection, the author is X Joe. So let's see. Yep, Xin-Yi Zhou is the author. So that's the, so we can find, it says it's available at other libraries worldwide. And actually it was available on Google Scholar, but if it wasn't available on Google Scholar, you have access to hundreds of thousands of articles through interlibrary loan. So I'm going to sign in here, make sure I'm signed in. And here's how you do interlibrary loan. Interlibrary loan means requesting an article or a book from another college or another university library in our network. All right, let's start over. All right, here it is. Request item through interlibrary loan. Then you put your information here. The title of the article should appear here, and then you just click submit request. All right, so we should also think about how we're using Google Scholar as well. So I have some important points. In Google Scholar, we can actually make automatic citations too. So let's do that. Let's go back to what we were supposed to be doing, getting citations. So it's always important to check these and make sure it's the right format. So what if, for example, they forgot the author's name, or they spelled it wrong, or they spelled the title wrong? So anyway, we're going to use APA style as we've talked about. Copy this here. And something's funny about the page numbers, but some journals are like that they have a number, a code like that. All right, so this is an article in a periodical called Expert Systems with Applications. So we should make it follow this same format. I'll click merge format, and then I'll do hanging indentation. And let's see, does it look right? We have last name, first initial, then the year, and then notice how the capitalization. So this is the proper way to do APA. The first letter is capitalized, but then after that, the words are not capitalized unless it's like a special term, or if it's after a colon. And then you put the periodical or the journal. This is some kind of academic journal. It's in italics. The number of the journal, the volume number is in italics. I guess it doesn't have issue numbers and it doesn't have page numbers. So one thing we could add to really be specific is we could try to find the DOI of this. So we'll click here, and here's the DOI. Well, we can leave the sample here. I'll put that in red. And that's how you check if it's correct. You look at the example and you look at what the citation generator gave you, and you see if it makes sense and if it looks accurate, if the capitalization looks right, the commas and everything. So that's how you do the citations. All right, so here's another thing. We also need to be critical of even the sources that you find on Google Scholar. So one problem with Google Scholar is that a huge percentage of the items are not peer-reviewed. And I even found works of my own here. I searched my own name, and I found I have several peer-reviewed publications, and those appeared. But I also had some course papers from when I was a grad student, and those appeared in Google Scholar. And those papers were just papers I turned in and I uploaded them to my portfolio, but they were definitely not peer-reviewed and they were never published in an academic journal. And strangely, they appeared here in Google Scholar. So nobody should be using those papers as a source for their paper because it wasn't peer-reviewed and it wasn't even published in an academic journal. So you have to be careful about what these sources are. It's not so clear if this article here is even peer-reviewed. So you have to go look at the details of what this journal is. So you could do that yourself. You could click here and study the journal and see if it's peer-reviewed. And I bet you it is. Yeah, it's a Referee International Journal. But suppose you couldn't figure out where it came from. Say you found an article and you're not sure of what the journal is, or if you wonder if the journal is reliable or not, there's a strategy for that. So we can take this title and you can go search for that here in CU Search. And remember, CU Search doesn't like colons. So we'll put the beginning of the title here. All right, see, look, it does show up here. But notice here, it actually does not label it as peer-reviewed. So that's kind of significant. See, because if we do other articles, just take this idea of fake news. See, some of them are marked as peer-reviewed, but this article was not marked as peer-reviewed. And that's actually kind of significant because the software application that CU searches, it's actually called WorldCat Discovery, and it's managed by the OCLC. And OCLC stands for the Online Computer Library Center, the nonprofit organization that provides services to libraries all over the world. And this organization has very high standards for counting a journal as properly peer-reviewed or not. So this journal here, Journal of Big Data, it actually does not consider it a very high-level peer-reviewed journal. So it may have some kind of review process. So you still kind of have to do your own research, or maybe check with your professor to determine if you think this is a good journal or not. That maybe it's possible that CU Search just is wrong and didn't realize that it's a high-level journal, and maybe it will be added in the future. So you still have to be careful, though, and make sure that it's actually the properly peer-reviewed source, if that's what your professor wants. So anyway, that's how that works. Let's do that one more time. Take this article, for example. We'll take one that doesn't show up. Automatic Online Fake News Detection. We'll copy that title, put it into CU Search. And if it doesn't show up, then it might be in libraries worldwide. So we'll check this. And I believe it's a conference paper. So that means it might not really be a peer-reviewed source. It could be peer-reviewed, but look, it doesn't have the word peer-reviewed down here. And it's probably pretty good information, but it's not at the highest level of a peer-reviewed source. So you have to be still critical of the things you find in Google Scholar. All right, so here's another great tool. So this article was from 2018. So it's getting a little old, like everything's still moving so fast. So a really great technique here is using this tool. So see, under every source, there's something that says cited by. Wow, this one was cited by 3,824 source. So that means that this was a really influential publication. But yeah, let's take a look at that one. So now when you click this, you can see the 3,000 sources that put it in their works cited page or on their reference list. You can find something newer, basically anything after that year. So now you can find something very new, 2023, in archivex.org. So this one might not be peer-reviewed yet. That's the thing. So we could take this, review ArchiveX is something like that, where they put papers out before they're peer-reviewed. So we'll check for this title, see if it shows up libraries worldwide. See, I have it set to libraries worldwide. Yeah, so it shows up that it's out there, but I don't think it's been fully peer-reviewed yet. So that's important to be aware of. All right, and then also in addition to the cited by tool, there's this related articles. So I would think this is maybe articles both before it and after it. So cited by is only articles after it that directly cited it. But Google has its own tools where it can find articles that are on a very similar topic. And then I want to show you how you would find an article called a literature review. Sometimes your professors ask you for an assignment where they want you to find something called a literature review. That means an article that's a secondary source, and it usually summarizes, analyzes, and compares the findings in a group of specially selected studies on a related topic. There are different kinds of literature review articles. Some of these are known as meta-analysis articles, and others are known as systematic review articles, and they have different purposes, and there's even others besides that. But you can filter this type of source right here in Google Scholar, and you click Review Articles. So review articles, as I said, they will be like a systematic review of prior research. So let's take a look. So a comprehensive review on fake news detection with deep learning. So I'll just kind of show you what that article does. So we look at the PDF of that article, and what they do is we proceed with the discussion on the data set used in previous research and their natural language processing techniques. Okay, so here's the list. So they took all these different articles and then they categorized them and drew the findings from that. So that's a really cool tool that Google Scholar gives you that CU Search actually doesn't have that, unfortunately. So you get all these review articles. And then if you want to turn it off to any type, now it's both review articles and empirical studies and other kinds of sources too. All right, so now we're going to go on to just a few more points that are really helpful for students in computer sciences. So we're going to go back to the library homepage. So we're going to talk about IEEE All-Society Periodicals and then the ACM Digital Library database. So to find those databases, we go down here to click Databases A to Z. Or I'm going to try something again. I'm going to go back here, click Advanced Search, and make sure I'm properly signed in. All right, so I'm properly signed in. Now I go to Databases, and then we're going to find IEEE. So we'll scroll down here to the I section. So IEEE stands for the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. So we'll click this. All right, so I want to tell you something important about these two search boxes. We actually at Campbellsville University only have access to a subset of what IEEE offers. So if you search everything here, a lot of things will not be available for us that we didn't pay for. But if you want to find the things that we did pay for, you can search here. So I can do an example here. I'll just show this. So we'll do, how about this one? Detection and disinformation. See what we get there. We got 40 results. So all of these are things that we should have an HTML or PDF access to. You see all these 40 sources. So I'll just pick the first article. Okay, so here's something important to also learn about. Every database has a citation tool, but it gives some kind of IEEE format. So this is the format that IEEE has established, and it's somewhat different from APA format. If you know how to use BibTeX or all of these things, you can automatically make your own citation. But here, I'll show you something else. I think this is a lot easier. Instead of using this one, take the title, so a comprehensive survey of threat models and detection methods, and we'll go to Google Scholar. We'll put that in here. And actually, this is what I often did when I was a grad student. I like to use the automatic citation tool that Google Scholar offered. This can save you a lot of time. So now that's in the proper APA format, which is probably what your professor requires. Go to paragraph settings, adjust special under indentation, and change it to hanging. And now it's in the right format, machine generated text. And I think everything looks fine here. And then same thing, if you ever found a book in CU Search, you would paste that here and then compare the format you got from CU Search and put it in here. Because sometimes CU Search makes mistakes. There's a special way to capitalize books in APA. And same thing here with the title of a chapter is capitalized a special way, and then the title of the book is capitalized a certain way. And then when you're done, you just delete those samples. Here we have the sources that you can then give to your professor. Oh, by the way, these are not in alphabetical order. C comes before M in the alphabet. We should double space it as well. So now we have two articles. All right, so that's IEEE citation. You just put it in Google Scholar and get the citation here. So remember, it originally came from IEEE. So that saves you a lot of time if you go to Google Scholar. All right, then the last database is called ACM Digital Library. So this is it's a full collection of the Association for Computing Machinery. It has journals, conference proceedings, technical magazine, newsletters, and even books too. So it has different kinds of sources. This one worked pretty well. The browser extension and fact checking. And notice also I put quotation marks around my search terms, and then I put the word and in capital letters. So in general, search databases prefer if you format it this way, then the word and will be used as like a plus sign to force a Boolean search. So every search result needs to have this exact phrase and this exact phrase. So here we have a research article, for example. It actually has some citation tools here. So we'll click on it. And then another way to find the citation tools is to click something that looks like a quotation mark. But this one gives you like this BibTeX form. So if you know how to copy that and put it into your automatic citation generator, that'll work on your computer, or EndNote if you know how to use those. And then there's the ACM reference. So this is its own style. See, look, it's not the same as APA. And I think it's a journal article. Or actually, it's a conference paper. But anyway, look, it's just completely different. It's definitely not APA style. It doesn't have the parentheses here. So remember what I did with IEEE? So we just take the title of that article and we take it to Google Scholar again. So see, Google Scholar is so useful in this way. See if it shows a browser extension. Okay, so then we have a cite tool here. So it's in citation here, in Proceedings of the CHI Conference on Human Factors. So we can copy that. So this is considered, we'll take away the wrong one and we'll put this here. But remember, this still could have problems with it because we need to check. So if we want to check, so we know this is a conference paper. You can just Google how to cite a conference paper in APA 7th edition. You could do that. Or you could go back here to our citation guide, click Library Guides, go to Citation Styles. We scroll down on this and click this. Try this for sample citation of common sources for list of references, APA style 7th edition. Now we look through here. See if we can find conference paper. Here it is, conference presentation or conference proceeding. Oh, look, so this is slightly different. If it's actually the proceedings, then it's somehow been checked over. So I think it was in the proceedings of it. So here's the example. Copy that. You put it side by side. Merge the format here. Somehow got bolded. And I'll put it in hanging just so you can see. So now we want to compare this. Does this really match? Hey, look, so here's some problems. So if we're really following this, this was the example from the APA. This is the right one. So I'll put that in green. It looks different. See, look, the title is lowercase, so then you have to check. Here I'm going to demonstrate what you're supposed to do. So if this should be lowercase, this should be lowercase, this should be lowercase, and this should be lowercase. And we don't need to say in proceedings of. See, it just says proceedings. And then we have the pages. If this data is available, you would add that, but maybe it doesn't have that available. So then we'll find the DOI, because often professors really do want you to include the DOI so you can confirm it's a real source. Oh wait, the DOI might be here. The DOI is here even in the ACM Digital Library. So we'll just click this. Okay, I'll copy that, put that in here, merge formatting. Yeah, so now this matches the example pretty closely. See, sometimes the proceedings may have numbers attached to them, but I don't know, if we really want to be careful, we maybe could look into it more closely, but at least we have the DOI. And then we'll take the example away. Oh, look, I caught myself. J comes before M in the alphabet. And basically that's how that works. That's how you can use Google Scholar alongside IEEE and the ACM Digital Library and ultimately our library guide about citation. And you can use all these tools together in order to create a properly formatted reference page like this. Thanks for your time watching this. I hope you enjoyed learning about this topic.